everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today my heart just really keeps being pulled around left and right, up and down, apart and back again, with everything going on with the box office. As you all know, I love covering box office news, I love covering box office numbers, and I love movies in general. Even though, of course, we've seen some movements towards many studios and many franchises pushing more agenda-driven drivel, there are still a lot of films out there and still some filmmakers out there that try to make the best movie possible, try to make audiences think, and try to make, again, just a good overall product. One of them, of course, being Christopher Nolan, which is why I've been following this Tenet story most especially because it's one of the most anticipated films that I have left of this year, seeing that my most anticipated movie of Top Gun 2 has now moved to 2021. A Quiet Place 2, which was also up there, has now also moved to 2021, and many other films I was looking forward to have moved as well. But there is now a new wrinkle in everything, which I'm sure will change in about a week or two, because everything, it seems, is changing week by week. And if you've been following my channel and you're like, okay, you say this one week and then this the next week, which one is it? Hey, I'm right there with you. We honestly don't know because the studios and the movie theater chains obviously don't know because they're also just kind of floundering around like a chicken with its head cut off. But let's go ahead and start talking with the newest news of it all about how Tenet apparently is now getting a release theatrically. However, it's gonna look a little bit different than a normal one would. So Tenet rollout has now been set. 70 countries will begin opening by the end of the month of August, which we are about to enter into, and then it'll open in the US over Labor Day weekend. So it's gonna be opening here in the States Labor Day weekend, and in 70 countries prior to that by the end of August. So we're probably going to see some type of shifting rollout in various other countries. But let's dive into what they actually say. With the foreign box office showing some signs of life, especially as I've mentioned in previous videos, South Korea's sequel to Train to Busan, which was an amazing zombie flick, just an amazing flick in general, called Peninsula, bringing in millions of dollars. It looks like Hollywood's like, ooh, we can get some of that money. Maybe, kind of, sort of. But because it's showing that it is indeed now Warner Brothers' turn, where they now are going to open Christopher Nolan's long-awaited Tenet in over 70 countries worldwide starting Wednesday, August 26th. So for those that are going to be trying to avoid spoilers, luckily it looks like we won't have to wait that long. However, don't hold your breath and don't also get your hopes quite up because this has, of course, now changed a countless number of times and will probably change before everything is said and done. The plan includes Tenet opening in Canada on Thursday, August 27th, before the US release, which will be in, here it is, select cities on Thursday, September 3rd for, again, those premieres. Hopefully, I am either in said city or close to said city, so that way I can actually take part in it. Exactly where stateside? In those cities where it's seen that it's safe to reopen. We already know that AMC has announced a mid to late August reopening, so again, that is also something that has been unveiling recently, is AMC moving its opening from the end of July to now mid-August because that's when Tenet is. Notice how everything is really revolving around Tenet. So Warner Brothers, just stick with it already. Let's get things reopened and just get things going because if you don't and you don't stick with it, we're not going to get anywhere. Regal and Cinemark have yet to detail their reopening plans, but as I am going to talk about today, Regal has since made some details there. With capped capacities and a select city rollout, Warner is hoping for a long tail on Tenet, meaning that they hope that over an extended period of time, as more cities become available, as the theater capacities become larger, that over time it will be able to make much money so that it can make up the hundreds of millions of dollars it costs to both make and also to promote it. China is still awaiting a release date, though it's in the cards to be released. Warner Brothers is releasing Nolan's Interstellar there on August 2nd, an indication that the country's 2-hour limit for his single movie restriction will be relaxed, paving the way for Tenet, which is listed as being 2.5 hours. Yeah, that whole listing by China with that nonsense was just really, really silly. Having Nolan's 10th anniversary release of Inception is also in the works with a stateside debut on August 21st in select cities. Once again, select cities really would like to know which ones. Again, obviously the ones that are seemingly okay to open, but again, we don't really know. It would be nice for them to tell us. Inception begins its offshore rollout on August 12th. The first major swath of openings, August 26th, include this vast list of countries where I'll just kind of skip through them. We got Belgium, Denmark. Ooh, we got a couple of countries that didn't shut down at all, actually, or had very limited shutdowns, whose economies are okay, and death rates are not as bad. Huh. Who would have thunk? But as you can see, a lot of other ones up here. Greece, Hong Kong, Israel, Taiwan, Saudi Arabia. And yet, can open in all of these countries, but can't open here for some reason. Makes you kind of wonder, doesn't it? Then on Friday, East Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, Norway, Romania, Slovenia, Spain, Vietnam, etc. Interesting how there are many countries that are very much not as advanced as the United States, and yet we are the ones that will get this movie last. Isn't that just interesting? Stateside this past weekend, drive-ins continue to propel whatever force there is at the box office, with IFC's Dave Franco-directed horror film The Rental ranking number 1 with $421,000 at 251 locations. The movie was also listed on PVOD, and we do now have an updated release schedule. So Unhinged, that Russell Crowe film I keep talking about, Unhinged, back on the board for August 21st. We'll see if that actually happens. And Inception re-released on that same date as well. Disney, I'll believe it when I see it. New Mutants, apparently, still going theatrical, not Disney Plus. Good luck with that. I doubt even after a long time you would probably make your money back. That's just my own thought. Fatima, which is one I'm kind of interested in, gets theatrical and POV, which means it's probably not going to play in any of the major theater chains because they have been very much against same-day release. Personal history of David Copperfield as well. Then September 1st, you have, again, one of those situations where it probably won't be shown in any of the major theaters, Bill and Ted Face the Music, which will be available on demand as well, with the first real major release, because I'm sorry, I'm not going to really call New Mutants the first major release. It's going to be Tenet, let's be honest. It's going to make the most money out of the ones that I've just mentioned, is September 3rd by Warner Brothers. And then you have The King's Man coming out September 18th, Greenland, September 25th, Wonder Woman 84, October 2nd. And as you can see, they have not yet, at least Disney, has not yet put Mulan back on the board. And my guess is that they are going to, at this point, they kind of have to force New Mutants to stay out there, because this could be a great test run for them, because if this fails as epically as I think it's going to, then it could be an indication for them to say, ooh, let's save Mulan maybe for another month or two, or maybe even next year, because looks like the box office is not quite back as of yet. So, speaking of those box office companies, though, Regal Cinemas, very similar to AMC, has now set a mid-August reopening in time for Labor Day weekend. We again have the same song and dance, things opening up a couple of weeks before Tenet so that they can get ready for Tenet, and then Tenet gets moved, and then they say, oh, well, now we can't open at all, and again, on and on and on it goes. It does not seem like it's ever going to actually end. As I mentioned before, Unhinged getting now close to that Labor Day weekend release schedule. But the big problem, of course, that still remains is these dates are not set in stone. These plans are really not going to be believable for me because it's just changed so often. At the very least, for the stuff going on here in the States. As far as the overseas goes, we've already seen movies get releases, making some money on there. So Warner Brothers, I think, could actually get that film out there to try and start making some money in those markets in those 70 other countries, just to start making something. But as far as the U.S. goes, again, if numbers are a certain way, and if these governors and mayors continue to, just drag things along and try and delay and let the economy continue to just sour, then I could see this being pushed once again. But even the Academy has noted that they might be a bigger problem, which is that moviegoers might break the habit of going to the cinema. And a lot of it has to do with a little film, a tiny little film starring a tiny little actor. I don't know why I'm really going in that direction with this, but anyway, the film is Greyhound, starring Tom Hanks, set during World War II, and apparently, and again, there's really no way to confirm this, apparently this film had enough views to essentially make it what would be a box office success, like a box office hit, essentially. But What does that mean when you're dealing with subscription services and fees and things like that? It's a lot harder really to tell at this point, but it does point to the fact that you're having a large number of people. Again, if you're having the same volume or a similar volume of people accessing a movie on a streaming platform or on a video on demand service as you would on a regular opening weekend, or at least somewhat close to it, that does, I think, leave a lot of worry in the eyes of some studios, but more so than ever in the eyes of theaters, the theater chains, because if people don't come back because they can wait till it's on demand, or rather not spend the money or risk anything or spend the money on the popcorn, or realize, hey, guess what? I don't really need to go to the theater anymore because I'm okay. It's not going to end up good for them, which is why I go back to this point once again. AMC, just reopen. Just do it. Seriously, rip the Band-Aid off. Open where you can. Regal, same thing. Cinemark, same thing. Just open your damn theaters. Show what's available. Do what you can. If you need to limit your hours, limit your staff because you're not sure. Build up slowly over time. But if you continue to wait until a major release is coming out and you continue to say, 2 weeks before then, that's when we'll start, then you're going to keep kicking the can down the road. And then when the studio, in this case Warner Brothers has been the studio of note, bites you in the ass again, then all you have really is yourself to blame, because you literally at this point could have been opened since the beginning of July when things were getting started. But you decided not to. So it's only your fault that you're not making any money at this point in time. But anyway, what are your thoughts about this? Do you have any faith that Tenet is actually going to come out by the end of August in the 70 countries and in the early September? Also, do you think that any of these theater chains are actually going to reopen at any point? Because, as I said, they've given me no reason to really believe in them. And again, even you have Academy people, higher ups in Hollywood, now warning quietly and kind of indicating maybe, just maybe, people are not going to be as apt to go back to the theater, even if it is open and available. And with the vast majority of major hits being moved from this year to next year, I would say that that chance becomes more likely every weekend that major theater chains and major movies don't come out. Anyway, let me know your thoughts about this and everything I talked about in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, hit that subscribe. It helps out a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless. And now a huge shout out to all of my Patreon members. Albertus Magnus, Animation Commentator, Brian P., David Bobrizik, Dion, DivX, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Honker Chonker Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toon, Jonathan Carney, Kenneth Camille, Lady T, Laura Story, who is the modern Major General, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange at Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Out of Step with Reality, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Benton, Tina Bojan, The DJD Show, and Tina B. Thank you all for being my Patreon members, and a huge shout out to my Subscribe Star members, Stand For, John B., Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Darkstar 57, Alex McCarthy, or J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888-209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J. Rod the Beer Guru, Nevadan G. Adams, and ZK Man, and Father Damian Cook. Thank you all so very much for being my Patreon and Subscribe Star members. Seriously, you are the wind beneath my wings. You help keep the lights on. You help support things like the giveaways for my $5 and up backers, and also allow me to do a lot of the extra stuff for the channel, including the exclusive OMB podcast that I do every couple of weeks with John, the Flick Pick of the Flick Pick channel. And yeah, thank you so much for your support. Don't want to really drag it out too long this month. You guys are amazing and beautiful people. If you want to have a name shout out, if you want to have access to giveaways, podcasts, any of that kind of stuff, check the links in the description for Patreon and Subscribe Star. You guys rock. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.